Welcome everyone to Unspoken Podcast. I am Anna Paz, and today we have a special interview recorded whilst I was in Luanda, Angola. I will be doing an episode where I'll be sharing some of my insights and some of the things that I did out there. But for today, we have an episode featuring Contra Mestre Kimbundo at his Capoeira Angola school, Akupandula, and we had an interesting conversation exploring a little bit about his journey from Angola to the Netherlands, to the UK, and back to Angola. And he has a very particular positionality in Capoeira, or in preserving Capoeira Angola, which is quite firm but very consistent in the way that he wants to maintain the integrity and ancestrality present in what we're doing when it comes to being a capoeirista. So I do respect his work and his efforts, and it's interesting to also see his journey from different styles of capoeira as well, and how he eventually came to Capoeira Angola. And I really hope you do all enjoy this conversation, and please do give some feedback if you agree or disagree on anything. I think it's always nice to have open discussions about these topics, because not only as capoeiristas, but maybe people who are engaging in culture, just thinking about the resources that we have in our society, in our communities. And I really believe capoeira is a resource, so it's always good for us to break bread and share our ideas, and of course learn from those who have come before us, our elders, mestres, and our ancestors. But for now, here is episode 15, Contra Mestre Kimbundo. Have a listen.
Bora, pai. Tava lá nos pés de algum, tava lá nos pés de algum, fazendo a minha oração, quando apareceu o negro, dizendo que eu sou zumbi. Lutei pela liberdade, sem querer ganhar troféu. O patrão sonhou comigo, se levantou assustado, suava por todo o corpo, não conseguiu mais dormir, e correndo pela casa, gritando: pegue zumbi. Feche portas e porteiras, esse negro não é brinquedo, me liberta da vingança, confesso que estou com medo. E o sonho do malvado ecoou pela cidade, sempre cedo ou mais tarde se tornava realidade. Lugar do negro é o caminho em busca da liberdade. Camaradinho, é ora, e ora, camarada. E aí vamos embora, e vamos embora, cama. E viva zumbi, e viva zumbi, camarada. Yeah, I was born here in Angola, specifically in Huambo, one of the Angola province, and my childhood was all there. Since when I was 10 years old, there was a big war here in Angola, especially in Huambo, in 1992. You know, there was a big war here in Angola. When that happened, we must to leave the place and go to another place, because we could not stay there. We walk like 1 week to another place called Benguela, you know, because of that situation of war here. Me and my family, and we saw a lot of bad things, you know, and at that time. And after a few days walking, we went to Benguela. We arrived in Benguela and Lobito. When I stayed there for few days in one place when they used to get those people who lost their moms, their dads, you know. And I stayed there for a few days. When some people like my sisters, you know, they went there to pick me up. I came to Luanda, and I stayed for a few days. And after that, I moved in. After 7 years, I leave Angola. I went to Holland. Yeah, I lived there in Holland for like 7 years. In Holland, I went there to study. I studied there, and that was my first contact with capoeira. Not doing capoeira. I saw capoeira here before in Angola. That was capoeira regional at that time, you know. When I saw, I feel yeah, like okay, one day I'm gonna do this. I just in my mind, one day I'm gonna do this. And when I went to Holland after a few years, I saw capoeira. Had some friends from Brasilia. They brought me to capoeira, but it was not capoeira Angola. It was capoeira regional. And I started doing capoeira for few days, and I didn't really like it. That was like I went for 1 week, then I left. I was like on and off, you know. And when that happened, that was one day I will decide to do it, you know. I would like to get involved, you know. And I start get more serious with capoeira. After after 5 years in Holland, I decided to move to London. I moved to London to study, you know. And when I went to London, I started training with Cordão de Ouro. I trained with Cordão de Ouro for like 4 years. Yeah, that was a good time as well there, and I get a lot of experience with them, you know. In Cordão de Ouro, yeah, we used to have a lot of Capoeira Angola mestres went there to do workshops. There was one day, yeah, this master, he came to me and say, "Are you from Angola?" I say, "Yeah, I'm from Angola." You don't think it's a big contradiction, you doing Capoeira Contemporânea and instead doing Capoeira Angola? Man, that thing just blew my mind, you know, like my spirit went in shock, you know. I was in shock. I say, man, that makes sense, you know. If they say, yeah, that capoeira came from Angola, you should do what your ancestors used to do it. You understand me? And I decided to leave the group, the Cordão de Ouro group. I decided to leave the group, you know. I just went to different capoeira groups in London, learn more about Capoeira Angola. I used to go to workshop with Mestre João Grande, Mestre Robival, Mestre Cobra Mansa as well, Mestre Jogo de Dentro, Mestre Marrom. Yeah, I used to go to different places just to learn more about Capoeira Angola. I stayed like 7 years without Mestre, only studying Capoeira Angola, you know, go to different places. And when I decided to come back to Angola, because people used to say, yeah, you said you guys say, they say, yeah, the capoeira came from Angola, but there is no capoeira Angola in Angola. That was a big contradiction there. You know, I feel like, yeah, you know, if they say they come from Angola, they should have capoeira groups in Angola who play capoeira Angola. When I decided to come back to Angola, I decided to create a capoeira group, Capoeira Angola group. But I didn't have any title, you know. That was only me and my knowledge, you know, the knowledge that I had about Capoeira Angola. After a few months, I went to Brazil for work. My work sent me to Brazil. I stayed 2 months. My last week in Brazil, I met someone who knew Mestre Moraes, you know. And the person said, yeah, I know Mestre Moraes. They say, no, you are joking. No, they say, I know Mestre Moraes. If you want to meet him, yeah, we can go to Bahia. I say, I just have 1 week here. Yeah, we have to go. If you want to meet Mestre Moraes, I say, okay. Even before when I used to play capoeira regional, the only music that capoeira Angola that I listened was Mestre Moraes. I remember one day, yeah, I went to my that wasn't even in Holland. That was in 2003, 2004. I went to my friend's house, yeah, and he showed me a CD, Capoeira Angola Pelourinho. I said, yeah, listen to that CD. You know Mestre Moraes? I said, no, I don't know this guy. Yeah, just listen to him. When I put the CD and listen to CD, the first ladainha that I listened, as histórias nos engana, man. That's just, man. I stay like 3 hours. We had the event next day. Yeah, I went to bed 4 o'clock. I stayed the all night only listening to that CD. Man, his voice, the songs, they made something in my spirit, that was too deep for me, Since then, I started following Mestre Moraes. I heard a lot of bad things about him, and I said, one day I will meet this guy. Since then, I used to listen to only Mestre Moraes CD. I used to listen to another CDs, but my basic was Mestre Moraes. When I went to Brazil, and I had the chance to meet him. My last week in São Paulo, I had the chance to go to Bahia only for the weekend, and I had the chance to go to check-up, but Mestre Moraes was not there. There was a roda. Every Saturday they have a roda there. I went to the roda. Mestre Moraes was not there. Sadly, I saw someone came to the academy. And that was him there. His energy. That was different. I never had these feelings, when I saw, apart from Mestre João Grande, but meet Mestre Moraes, that was like, I always say, my connection with Mestre Moraes has to do with our ancestor, because it's a deep thing there. It's not only relation between student and Mestre, it's more than that, it's more than that. Yeah, I sit down with Mestre like for 4 hours. We talk about capoeira, We talk about capoeira. And ask Mestre, I never did Capoeira Angola. You think I have the chance, to do Capoeira Angola? I say, you have the chance to do Capoeira Angola, and I'm gonna help your group, That's when we become, together. After that, I left Brazil. I came back to Angola. And that was 2015. 2016, Mestre Moraes came to Angola, And that was our first workshop or oficina with Capoeira Angola with Mestre Moraes. That was the time when he gave me the title as well of Contra Mestre, And and we start from there. After the next year, 2017, Mestre Moraes came back. And with Mestre Kenji, Contra Mestre Cuida, Contra Mestre Caio, that was a big thing for us, because these guys, the way our reference here in Okupandula, we used to see them play, learn how they movements, how they play birimbaos. For us, that was a big inspiration. We used to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning to train. That's how we used to do it. And that time improved a lot our capoeira, because they spend a lot of time with us, teach us, all the movements, how to move, how to use the movement. And from then on, we just try to follow the steps, I changed a lot. My view about capoeira changed a lot with the knowledge that Mestre Moraes passed to us, because the way that he see capoeira, is totally different, That knowledge, is feed my spirit, because when you do Capoeira Angola, it's not about the physical. In Capoeira Angola, you have more feelings, In Capoeira Angola, you have more feelings. Capoeira Contemporânea, it's all about movement. How you move, how you do your kicks, it's more about that. It should not be like that. But the way that they carry about capoeira contemporânea or capoeira regional, the way that I see, when I was there, it was more about the movement. It's not about the feeling. There is two different things. When you care about the movement, you only care about your body. Because it's the body who does the movement, you know? The kicks is the body. But there is a feeling, before the movement, there is a feeling. You have to feel. How do you feel that? You feed first your spirit. You feel first your spirit. You know, you feed your spirit, you feed your body as well, and then you can express yourself. That is the difference that I see. I see a lot of movement, but no feeling. We need more feelings than movement in Capoeira, especially in Capoeira Angola. Because the way that Mestre Pastinha talk about Capoeira, we have to study what Mestre Pastinha used to say. Because it's a deep knowledge inside there. When he say Capoeira is everything what the mouths eat. You know, yeah, how you gonna describe this? You know? Because there is a deep feel, a deep knowledge, you know, behind the things that Mestre Pastinha used to say. Subjacências da Capoeira Angola. Things that you don't see, but you feel. Because Mestre Pastinha say, there is three levels in Capoeira. The physical, that everyone can see, but the other two, you feel. But most of the capoeiristas, they only care about the first one, the physical one, that everyone can see it. About this Capoeira that I can't see it, but I feel. You know, that I feed my spirit to involve my body to that movement, to that to understand the ritual of the Capoeira, the ritual of the roda. You know, all these things, knowledge that you get to feed your spirit. Because we have two words, the micro word that we call in Capoeira, and the macro. The macro is outside the Capoeira, because we play Capoeira inside the roda and outside the roda. That's how we have to see Capoeira. Because inside the roda, you have your partner that you're gonna play Capoeira with. At work, you have to know how to play Capoeira with your colleagues. But okay, people, how am I gonna play Capoeira with my colleague? But he doesn't play Capoeira. That is the subjacência that we call in Capoeira. We play Capoeira. It's not all about the movement. When we talk with someone, you can play Capoeira as well. I'll give you an example. When you discuss with someone outside Capoeira, let's say at your work, you did some work and the work didn't went well. You know, your boss call you, yeah, but Anna, you have to do this. Okay, the way that your boss talk to you, you have to know how to respond. You understand? Sometimes, yeah, your boss will give you cabeçada, rasteira, but after that you will stand up, say, okay, now I know exactly. That's how we do it. We play Capoeira every day. The knowledge that I know now about Capoeira, I hope that everyone should have. But to have that knowledge, you have to know someone to tell you that. I give thanks to our ancestors have now Mesh Moraes to teach us all this philosophy, all this knowledge, you know. And like he say always, this knowledge, we have to spread this knowledge. We can't keep that knowledge. We have to spread. But the problem is, yeah, to accept this knowledge is difficult. It's difficult because it's hard. Because you have to leave a lot of things behind you to follow that path, because that path is not easy. We have a long walk in a short path. There is no time anymore to play. There is no time anymore. Because here in Angola, I will defend Capoeira. Not even in Angola, the whole world, I will defend Capoeira Angola with everything that I can. Because that is the legacy of our ancestors. We can joke with that. You know, that is a very serious thing. You know, because we have a big compromise with our ancestors. We have that. We can't play with that, because it's the tools that they use to get their freedom. How are you gonna play with that? We can't do that. And yeah, I will fight for that. I will fight for that.
You were speaking about how it's feeding something, the spirit. And why do you think that is so significantly important here in Angola?
To understand Capoeira Angola, you have to understand the history of Africa. That's the first thing. You have to connect yourself with the history. Because without that history, you should not have Capoeira Angola. Capoeira Angola exists because of that. Are we agree with that? Good. Then, after that, yeah, you have to understand and say, okay, how is that thing about Capoeira come about? Where did it start? We know that Capoeira didn't start the way that a lot of people say. You know, it's total different. You know, Capoeira there is some dances. You know, some way of life. You know, that here in Angola, when you see, you can connect with Capoeira. That's no doubt. You know, there is no doubt. But for us, Angola or Africa, keep that culture alive is very important to honor our ancestors. You know, we have to honor them because we are lost. We don't have our names. We don't know our culture. We don't follow our religions. You know, they gave us new way of worship. They God. You know, we have to connect with our roots. When we start doing that, we will understand more Capoeira Angola. Não? Mestre Pachinha fez o caminho para a divina realização. The way to the divine realization. That's a deep statement. You know, when every statement that Mestre Pachinha say is connect always with spirit. It's not the physical, it's the spirit. Because those movements that we see, that we do in Capoeira, they are symbolic. They are only symbols, you know, to express our Capoeira. The other two ways to play Capoeira that Mestre Pachinha say no one can see it. Is that thing that we talk about. Feed our spirit. Are you going to feed your spirit? I'm going to feed my spirit to honor my ancestors. I'm going to feed my spirit, study my history. I'm going to feed my spirit, you know, respect our ancestors. That's how you feed your spirit. You know, a lot of people talk about the ancestors in Capoeira, but they don't honor the ancestors. They don't do that. It's become a fashion in Capoeira. Talk about ancestors, you know. They don't honor the ancestors and they want to talk about ancestors. I think that's wrong. You know? That is wrong. And for us here in Africa, you know, we should take this thing very serious, you know, because everything starts here. You know, although some people say, you know, Capoeira has nothing to do with Africa. I feel sorry for them.
What do you think about when people say that? Because I feel, because the only two instances that I've really experienced that, or maybe three different experiences, is either someone who's Brazilian, who, because they have grown up and have been in this culture for their whole lives, and it is a part of Brazilian history, they say this. There's also people that are European, because they're very present in Capoeira. And there's also black people who don't understand the context of Capoeira.
Yeah, I feel sorry for them because they have to study more. That's the only thing that I say to them. First of all, the first time when we heard that someone say Capoeira is genuinamente Brazilian, Capoeira is genuine Brazilian, who said that? Getúlio Vargas. That was the first time the guy said that. We know why. When Mestre Bimba went to meet him, he said, for now on, Capoeira is original from Brazil. That's the first step. We know what is behind this thing, about the integralismo brasileiro. You know, what they did, they used black people to help with their agenda. Exactly. That's why you see those Brazilians who say Capoeira genuine Brazilian, they don't know their history. That's the first thing. They don't know. They don't know. If they study integralismo brasileiro, they will understand why they say Capoeira is genuine from Brazil. But Okay, capoeira genuine for Brazil, that's good. Where did the instrument come from? Tell me one instrument from Brazil there. There is nothing from Brazil there. You know, how do you call genuine? If you go to a dictionary, okay, give me a definition of genuine. It's not genuine anymore. Of course, there was a big influence in Brazil to become a capoeira what we call now. That's for sure. But that's the reason why they call Afro-Brazilian. To give value to Africa and Brazil at the same time. You can't just say capoeira is genuine from Brazil. That's not true. That's not true. The terms that we use in capoeira, they are not from Brazil. Lamba, where is lamba? Gunga, where did that terminology come from? That is from Africa. There is people they don't even know what gunga means. They don't know that. That's why, you know, we need to study more. You have to study Africa's history to understand capoeira even more. If you don't study Africa history, you know, you will never understand capoeira. You will understand capoeira only in the physical, but not in the spirit. You know, the way that Mestre Pastinha used to say, capoeira é tudo que a boca come. Yeah, how you gonna interpret this? Because Mestre Pastinha at that time, he talked about the infinite capoeira. He talked about the infinity in capoeira, you know, and all these way that he defined, he defined capoeira. When you will realize is to sustain your spirit, because the only thing that can sustain your body is your spirit. That's why the first thing why they say in the Bible, what they say in Genesis 1, say, in the Spirit of God, you know, travel. Exactly, it's your spirit. Exactly. You have to feed your spirit. Because your body depends, to stay alive, depends of your spirit. That's why we have to feed our spirit. How you feed your spirit? With knowledge.
I was just going to ask you, just one last comment. Maybe you can bring some reflections about some cosmologies or rituals or practices that relate to Angola. Like I think we spoke sometime about the Bakongo.
When we speak about cosmology, you know, we speak about our way of life. You know, how our ancestors used to live. No? We go back to the thing, okay, honor your ancestors. The way they used to live, the way how they used to dance, how they used to, what type of food they used to, you know. Every people in the world, they have their own cosmology. Because they study how their ancestors used to live, and that's how you connect yourself. Now, we say cosmo-perception, because we feel more, you know. People in Europe, they are more touch, see, you know. That's how they see things. That's how they define the world. If they don't see, they don't touch, they don't accept. But for us, it's different. We are more feeling people. You understand me? That's why we call now cosmo-perception. Cosmo-perception. Because I feel you. If our spirit is connect, that's more important. You see, we speak about something that has nothing to do with capoeira, but is related. Because when you go to play capoeira, our spirit has to be connected. Even those who are in the roda, if they are not connected with everyone here, the roda doesn't go well. You understand me? We feel. We Africans, we black people, we feel it. That even now, yeah, people asking me, yeah, after all this time of slaves, you guys didn't change. You still, you know, Africa still, yeah, Africa, because that's our way of life. People don't understand that. We are feeling people. We are good people. You know, we don't take this thing about slavery. Yeah, we know who did that. We have to be careful with that. But we are the mother and fathers of this planet Earth. You know, how you gonna treat your kids bad? You know, you don't do that. At that time, our ancestors they will not think only about them. They will think about the future. So it's not every black people will understand this thing as well. Even here, Africa as well. People are very disconnected, especially those who go to the church. Like I always say, we have a long walk and a short path. We don't have time for joke anymore. We have to say that, yeah, because when they came here, they didn't think it twice to give the image about God. We have to desconstruir essa imagem que eles passaram de nós, the same way that they did. Because when they came here, you know, they didn't think twice. They said, okay, that's our agenda. We're gonna use the Bible to control these people. We are very spiritual people. That's why we accept the Bible. That's what's easy for them to make slaves in Africa. Because African people, they are very spiritual people. We have to start ourselves.
What has been the main difficulties for you doing the work that you do with Capoeira Angola? Not only here in Angola, but maybe even in other places in the world where they practice Capoeira Angola and they don't necessarily take so seriously, like you said, this way of protecting the integrity and ancestrality that's inside of it.
I know there is a lot of racism in Capoeira. I know that. I used to live in London. I went to a place that I was not welcome there. Yeah, first of all, is jealous. That's the first thing, jealous. You are African. That's the first thing. You are more connected with the history than them. There is some roots. There was some process to become what we call capoeira now. You have to respect that. Before Mestre Bimba met Getúlio Vargas, they used to call it, that is the criminal thing. Okay, when he went to meet Getúlio Vargas, white people start doing capoeira. Okay, there is no criminals anymore. But those who are there still doing capoeira in the way they used to do. Yeah, those are the criminals.
What is your hope for Capoeira Angola, specifically in Angola?
Here in Angola, there is no lot of capoeira groups here. You know, only few, only 2 groups. But I understand why, because those who brought capoeira here first, there was capoeira regional, and people get excited, you know, to know about capoeira. They never had capoeira Angola before. But we are here for that. We are here to take capoeira where it should be. You know, I hope that capoeiristas around the world, especially those who does Capoeira Angola, study more about Capoeira Angola. Don't feel lazy to study Africa history. The more you study Africa history, specifically Congo, Angola, you will understand the Capoeira Angola more in the deeper level. Because there is something else that they need to learn. It's the knowledge. It's that subjacência that we can see but we feel. It's all about feeling.